welcome to the City Ramble with me today, John Ashley, Ollie McCall. John, how's things?
Pretty good,
It's been
City have got
quite
a
a
Ballon
couple of
d'Or playing.
days. It's been quite a couple of days, hasn't it? United lose, City win, Arsenal and Liverpool draw, Man United lose the manager, City get named, or a City player gets named the best in the world, and the entire footballing world, well, one massive footballing institution, absolutely despises Manchester City. I mean, John, if incredible, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, not a conversation you'd have expected City to be anywhere close to, 15 years ago. But well, maybe, probably still not. But yeah, just an absolute like. Maybe it's just representative of the world as a whole, but like it's just gone absolutely insane for like no real reason. It's like it's
No
not.
reason.
There's not even any control. I don't know. We'll get into it. I
We
imagine.
will. We will. Ollie, for anyone who follows you on social media, would have seen that you were under the needle, having a few tats over the last day or two. Is Rodri's face incorporated into the design or not? Are we not
If
quite reached that level yet?
honestly, I think that might be one for the next time at this rate. Because what a guy! But I think of all the pain I've endured in the past few hours, it obviously doesn't come close to the embarrassment and the pain of that embarrassment that Vinicius Junior has faced
It
and is
didn't
currently
take long, did
facing.
it? It didn't take long.
Um, just a marvelous couple of days, and obviously we'll get into all of it. But to see George Weah, City's other Ballon d'Or winner, obviously he didn't win it at City, but City's other Ballon d'Or winning player presenting the award, I think that's just a marvelous bit of bertying there from France football. Obviously, I don't think they'll have intended it like that, but it just worked out perfectly for the City fans who, if you know, you know, type of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. He did. Johnny did give a list of managerial thank yous from his career. Was it Joe Royle, the City manager at his time?
Yeah, I
Um,
think
he
I think he
seemed to miss the
scored one
cut.
goal for
That in
City.
that era, that was what, like halfway to being top goal scorer in some
What was it? I
seasons.
think he was away at Gillingham in the League Cup or something like that. So there's definitely some
Ah,
heritage there. Gillingham. It's full circle, man.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, we'll get into the Rodri stuff because obviously we did a chunk of it on yesterday's show. Disclaimer, listeners, we recorded that before the announcement was made official that Rodri had won the Ballon d'Or. So anytime you see us gloating about it, you have to just imagine us being sat there with fingers crossed. That the segment actually got to go out, and obviously it did. But John, we can speak with clarity now that Rodri has certainly been crowned Ballon d'Or winner. I do want to touch on maybe the more unsavoury parts in the final part of this part before going on to part two. Brief, but I've just been buzzing. Like most of all, I've just been buzzing because I think it would have been great for Erling Haaland to have won it last year, but world superstar striker scoring 50 odd goals, came in, won the Champions League, blah blah blah. The script was almost too perfect that time, but the fact it is Rodri, and I guess us footballing podcasty nerds, tacticos, etc. I'm not calling myself a tactico, but you get where coming from. We kind of see ourselves a little bit in him because he is this sort of shy, but also at times spiky and a little bit unreserved. But this behemoth of a figure. The fact it's him, I just love it. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't have changed it for the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ilkay Gundogan maybe put it best is that he isn't underrated anymore. Once you've won the Ballon d'Or, you can't make that claim. But remarkably, you probably could have made that claim up until
Mm,
yesterday, basically. And I think when you take into account last year's and Messi winning it entirely, pretty much on the strength of helping Argentina win the World Cup, which is a fine achievement. But there must be a part of it where it was like, yeah, that was kind of almost a lifetime achievement award
mm,
to an extent. And so, from the judge's perspective, it's like, okay, well, maybe we do actually need to look over the course of or a season and a half or 2 seasons to get a better perspective as to who the best player over that at that time has been. And it it's not even controversial to say that it's Rodri.
mm.
Like he's the outstanding player in his position. He was unbeaten for ridiculous number of games over an extended period of time last year. He has literally everything you would want in a football player. Like he is. I mean, I haven't seen him in goal, but you can imagine him. You can imagine him like being all right. He's played. He could play literally wing, maybe not, but like anywhere through the middle of the field, and you'd be confident that play him up top. He'd probably get 25 goals a season. Yeah. I'm not even like. I wish
you're
I was,
not.
like,
You're not.
I'm not even
scoffing,
being
but
facetious.
it's not at all. It's not unimaginable at all. I mean, we have kind of seen him do several positions at once, and Ollie, like, we don't need to go over what we've already said before about Rodri because it's been said, and there'll be some people who discount this award going to him, and genuinely, like, without being too flippant, I just assume those people haven't watched him close enough. And look, not everyone in the world, if you're a fan of a La Liga team, you've not got 2 hours a week to be watching a different Premier League team. We see it in the Champions League. I get it. Not everyone's got the time to do that. But if you're still discounting this man's credibility for this award, I mean, find a new sport. Like, sorry, but find a new sport.
You're not wrong. To go back to Ilkay Gundogan's statement, because I think he worded it perfectly. In the end, there's only him. That's it with
that's
Rodri.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
In the end, there is only Rodri because he's we as City fans, we've been saying it for a long, long time. He's the best in the world at that position. And then there was a moment. Well, I don't even think it was a moment. It was just a kind of collection of moments and games last year where it kind of became. He's not the best player in his position. He's the best player in the world right now because he's just so ultra consistent. And yes, he has those moments of hot-headedness that, as a fan, you love to see, and maybe could count against him for an award like this. But it's like what you said. This is one for the football fans. I think people who understand this sport, people who love this sport, should love the fact that a defensive midfielder has won the Ballon d'Or over a flashy winger. Vinicius Junior. A brilliant talent, a phenomenal talent, but he's got less international goals than Harry Maguire. This isn't a guy who has constantly delivered. This is a guy who scored less goals than Dominic Solanke. In a much easier league for the clear best team in that league. Rodri has impressed at both international and domestic level for a long, long time. As we were saying at the top of the show. He was underrated until last night, and yet I think he's probably going to end up still being the most underrated Ballon d'Or winner. The last time a midfielder won this was Modric in 2018 after that World Cup, and everyone kind of looked at each other and went, really? If you're saying really about Rodri winning the Ballon d'Or, find a new sport, do something different with your life because it clearly isn't for you. You're not watching it with your eyes. If you can't enjoy football and not love Rodri, whether maybe when he's playing against you, you hate him, but if you watch a Manchester City game as much of a neutral as you can be, you will watch the game and you will think, fucking hell, Rodri is just incredible, isn't he? Because there's nothing he doesn't do, And then there was a thing that went around Twitter last night, 88th minute, how far down the list do you go until you find Rodri to score the winning goal? And then you just go, he scored 2 goals on the final day of a season to help City win the league. He scored the Champions League winning goal. I think of the goal against Bayern Munich. That was his first ever Champions League goal. I think of countless moments and brilliance that he showed in just his goal scoring. And then you remember, he's a defensive midfielder. So you think of all the last-ditch tackles. You think of all the just energy that he puts in, the consistency, when he was clearly gassed at points in the last couple of years, when he was clearly just needing to be benched, and he was forced back out there again and again and again, and we flogged the horse, and it has delivered for him. And I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy for
Calvin
him.
Phillips. Calvin Phillips has probably won Rodri the Ballon d'Or, which I think for some people will be his crowning achievement. And I'm conscious of time, and obviously it is match day, and we do have a football game to speak about. So I'll just quickly, John, on the reaction and the unsavoury part, and it is unsavoury, and I hate to bring it up, but it's relevant because it's it's really difficult to see the way this has been hijacked. And usually at this point we won't give it the airtime because it's some nonsense fans online who are sort of spreading some unsubstantiated rumor or conspiracy or whatever. But this is a football institution, and it's not only a football institution in Real Madrid and their players who are doing this. It is a global brand who are peddling really insecure and really sort of shallow and entitled narratives about Rodri. And obviously Vinicius Jr., as soon as Rodri won the award, tweeted something like, I have to try 10 times harder to whatever, I'll come back stronger. And there's been ridiculous claims, again, not from just the odd person online, but reputable sources about the fact that it is maybe linked to skin colour. And look, I'm not a person of colour, I will never pretend to know what that feels like, but there's so much bad faith acting that this is really, it's not really soured it at all, but there's just a tiny tinge of resentment, I think, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I think a good metric for this, for how substantiated or how valid some of these claims are, is a really high majority of Liverpool, Arsenal, even United fans recognizing that it was not a controversial choice, that Rodri is up there as one of the best in the world. That for me, it should have been the odds should have been a lot closer beforehand. I don't know if that played into it. If people were like, oh yeah, it's already a foregone conclusion. I don't know if Rio Ferdinand contributed to that, in the Champions League final, or just by yelling Ballon d'Or at him.
What a track record he's got, by the way. I think he's put his money behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Vinicius Junior's Ballon d'Or, Ronaldo coming back to United. Dear me, I hope he never backs us, because the podcast will be going underneath.
I need to ask him who he'd vote for in the US election next week, just to just to get a good handle on that. That'd be helpful. But no, it does leave a really sour taste in the mouth. And with the greatest respect to Vinicius Jr. as well, it's not like he was the runaway outstanding player of 23-24. In March, people were saying, oh, Jude Bellingham is a shoo-in for the Ballon d'Or this year. And that was 2 months before the Champions League final, and then a disappointing Copa America for Vinicius Jr. So it's just been ramped up to a stage and a level that isn't really palatable or understandable. I'm struggling to get my words out because I'm still imagining Harry Maguire galloping down the left wing for Brazil.
That would be quite the sight. Ollie, just quickly, because I think more than anything, and I think fingers crossed here anyway, you look at some of the reaction from the Real Madrid players and you just hope, I mean, I can't speak for any other clubs, but I just hope from a City point of view, those players who, like Erling Haaland, like Rodri, who have been maybe courted in the past and would have thought, and look, I don't blame them, and I probably still wouldn't blame them, but thinking Real Madrid is in their eyes the pinnacle of football. You guaranteed at least a Champions League every other year, trophies, living in Spain, etc. I just hope the behaviour of this puts them off a little bit, because I think of Jude Bellingham, who finished, what was it in the end, third. He missed out on experiencing that ceremony. I mean, maybe he would have said, oh, I want to be first, I don't really mind, blah, blah, blah. I think of Kylian Mbappe, who won, weirdly, a joint Gerd Muller trophy with Harry Kane. Less said about that, the better. But still, he missed out on picking up an award. The arrogance stunk, and it kind of fits coming from them. And I think they've shown the face over the last couple of days.
Real Madrid are one of those clubs that can get away with being arrogant because they've done it all. They've won it all so many times. They're one of the only clubs who can behave in such a confident manner because they back it up every year. That's the simple fact. But what they've been doing with the Ballon d'Or ceremony, it was petulant and it was childish, and you would expect better. it's disrespectful to the players who were nominated. It's disrespectful to Ancelotti himself. He won Coach of the Year. I think it's disrespectful for the club. They won Club of the Year. You know, it was a great night for Real Madrid. You know, they had 2 players in the top 3 of the Ballon d'Or. They won basically every other award in men's football that night. They did absolutely brilliantly, and yet we're all sitting around talking about Vinicius Junior being angry because he wasn't the best player in the world last season, which nobody was saying he was anyway.
And he finished second.
And
It's
he
not like
finished
he was
second.
snubbed altogether.
Exactly. He had a great night. He had a fantastic night, and it's just sad that it's kind of, you know, as you say, bad faith acting. You know, why is Lewis Hamilton tweeting a Brazilian flag, you know, right after the Ballon d'Or ceremony? Some can defend that and say, oh yeah, it's because the Brazilian race is coming up. But we all know why. We all know why people are reacting in this way. I just think it's petulant, it's childish, and it's just a bit unbecoming, really. But then again, it's Real Madrid, and if they want to behave like that, I hope Manchester City remind Rodri of how they've behaved when it comes to contract talks. Because frankly, if a player thinks, you know, of Real Madrid as this pinnacle of football, then they just need reminded, okay, this is how they react when they don't win. This is how they react when things don't go exactly their way. Yes, you'll win a trophy. Yes, you'll do this, but you're not nailed on. And you're not going to get the respect you deserve for the achievements you personally have if your club doesn't come first. And yeah, frankly, I would never have had Vinicius Junior, you know, above Jude Bellingham in terms of last year. Anyway, Jude Bellingham was far superior. Jude Bellingham was absolutely brilliant last year, and probably
And that's from Jude Bellingham's #1 hater.
Exactly. I can't stand the guy, and yet he is a phenomenal footballer. He had a better season than Vinicius Junior. Yet here we are. It's just sad, I think, because it just creates this narrative of undeservedness that we just don't need. And it's, as I say, so petulant. It's just, you know, it's something I would expect from, you know, Liverpool fans or, you know, Manchester United. I wouldn't really have expected it from Florentino Perez. I thought he would have known a little bit better.
It's only football, lads.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's the great poet Fogden once said, it is only football. That was the first part of the show. If you want more, make sure to check the City Ramble wherever you get your podcasts from.